Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. I think I should have fucking looked. I never know the episode numbers. I think it's 123. 123?
Yeah.
All right. You listened to the latest one
I
on the way
did.
here. So 123. Thank you. A lot of podcasts, they all blend together. But 123. So you're like, mine says 23. You're like the Jordan episode or LeBron, whatever you're about. You don't like Michael Jordan?
That's just putting those
lot of
names
pressure.
out. Yeah,
A lot of pressure.
You know, that's a lot of pressure. I'll do my best.
All right. Well, we will introduce our guests in 1 second. Before we get started, if you guys would like to support the podcast, we do offer a Patreon. We do offer merchandise. If you cannot do that, I understand we're still in the middle of a pandemic and there's a lot of shit going on, and I completely understand. A like, a share, let people know this podcast exists helps more than you know. It's getting a lot of traction because you guys are all doing that, and it means the world to me. But we do have a tier from $1 to $25, depending on what you want to do on the Patreon. Anything over $10 gets you the chance to win a free T-shirt. Anything under is just a podcast shout out. And if you have an episode idea or a topic idea for a podcast, you can send us a message on there, and we would love to do your topic. But we want to thank Ryan Vox from Outbreak Wrestling, David S., Brett Squared from the Keg Stand in Monty City, Bridget M., Andrew H. from Bangin' Beers Podcast, Greg R., Heidi B. from Not Cool in High School Podcast, Ryan G. from Fueled by Hops Podcast, Kelly from Crystal Mountain Healing, also Truth Behind Illusion, Tommy B., the Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop, which is one of our sponsors, Brad Z., Higher Than Other Words Podcast, and JH. And as you can already see on the camera, we are back inside of Cabana Entertainment. So once again, huge thank you to Anthony and Nikolai for having us in this space, which is very, very welcoming, and thank you. It means a lot. We're still tweaking stuff, so we have some lights and stuff going on now. And you're gonna hear flashing. That's Nikolai, not flashing us, but actually taking photos.
Flash anybody.
Behind the camera, we actually make Nikolai take photographs naked the whole time.
Hey, you know, when you got to be in the zone.
Yeah, well, I want you to be comfortable, and they always say picture someone naked, so Nikolai falls on the, yeah.
I help out.
Yeah. I always tell people, too, that sometimes we do the podcast with no pants on. Because nobody will ever know, because we can't see our legs.
Yeah, Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was...
And now that you do podcasts here, from time to time, we can involve costumes. And
we have
crazy,
costume changes. Even though none of us will fit in Nikolai's costumes.
No, but
because they're all children's sizes.
We could answer the phone.
Yeah.
You want Batman's phone?
Right?
We got the red phone.
But do you have the Shakespeare bust?
I don't.
He does. I almost bought one. It was really expensive.
I have continually looked for that. Like, continually looked for a Shakespeare bust.
They're online, but they're expensive.
They are expensive.
Yeah.
I am not willing, nor will my wife appreciate me paying $300 for another dust collector.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it is not.
Well, let people know who you are.
My name is Dave McAdoo. I am a resident of Emmaus. I sell beer for Funk. Right here.
We're gonna get funky this episode.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Let me bring my beer
We're gonna
closer.
push them a little bit. A couple other hobbies. I do bar trivia for a side hustle. Like to cook and love food, all sorts of stuff.
Awesome.
And yeah, just kind of excited to be here. I mean, interviews with everyday people. It was. We were talking earlier about how, like, I found it, and it was 90% sure it was through the wrestling.
Yeah.
But then I just saw like the array that you were covering, and I was just like, well, this is something I gotta hold on to. I gotta figure out, because I got a couple other friends that do podcasts, and they're really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I would love to find the spare time to be more involved with something like that.
It's a lot of time.
Another hobby of yours that I'm even more is my pipe dream, to do, commentary for wrestling. That has been
it's fun but very stressful.
I can understand.
Yeah, I mean, some people go in there and I think they're lax and they just kind of go with the flow, which I do as well. But I take it pretty serious, and it sucks when sometimes you go to shows and people are just like, hey, I'm gonna sit down and do this, and then you're halfway through the match, like, can you talk? Like
right.
like, say something. Give me something to work with.
Yeah. Do you have a blue sport coat on and a bad tie? No, you don't. So either be a heel or don't, or do something. Yeah, I mean, from the who we grew up. Sorry, I'm banging on the table.
It's okay. One of the first things you said, I hate when guests bang on the table.
Yeah.
He's not talking.
But I mean, growing up watching Superstars and Challenge, I mean, we were spoiled. We had Bobby the Brain and
Yo.
Jesse and Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, still one of the best quotes ever. Well, two of them. If you keep your mouth shut, no one will know how stupid you are.
Yep.
And then the other Bobby is, a pat on the back is only 6 inches above a kick in the ass.
Yep.
So
I always like the gorilla. Would you stop it?
Would you stop? Would you stop? Yeah, he's just, oh my goodness.
I have a Bobby and gorilla T-shirt, and it looks like the NBA Jam picks, and it has like Weasel 100 maxed out. Integrity
Rumble?
0. No, it looks like an NBA Jam, like when you pick your
Okay.
characters, but it's Gorilla and Bobby, and it has like all their stats underneath it, like if they were an NBA Jam.
Oh my God.
Homage makes them. They have a whole bunch of them. They have like the Head Shrinkers. They have like the Rock and Sock Connection. But it's the only commentary shirt I've ever seen, so I bought it. Yeah.
Because they're sure shit not going to give Michael Cole a T-shirt.
No, which I think he gets a bad rap.
He does. I mean, and even on the recently, what was that? Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Where like Vince was just like just
Shit.
pounded him. Like,
Vince, listen, I just watched WrestleMania 10 for homework for our upcoming Tornado Tag. Vince is awful.
He is.
And he's play-by-play, and he
He
doesn't know any move names.
Well, and that's and the reason he ended up moving to the back is just so he could. I'm telling you this,
Yeah.
like you don't know, so he could push storyline to get some people out there that actually knew it. And they had a rough time finding people to do it. Like
Yeah.
Randy really wanted to stay out there for a little while.
He wanted to stay out there, but he wanted one last run on the ring where he
Yeah.
came from behind the table and he wanted to go against Shawn. And I told him no. So he left and went to
Back went
WCW.
to WCW.
Yep.
Yeah.
He wanted Shawn to end his career.
God, moment of silence for that.
Could you imagine that match? That's probably my two favorite, Macho and Shawn.
I would agree. My introduction to professional wrestling was my Aunt Sherry was a Hogan fan. So back in the day, she would get the pay-per-views and tape them for me and then give them to me. So I had this, just stack of VHS
You
tapes.
can wait for like a Monday or Tuesday to get your tape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least.
I was one of those kids too.
And it was, I believe it was 5. Owen versus, Blue Blazer versus Mr. Perfect.
Yes.
And that just, I was
Sucked
all
you
in. From the Majesty, even though I didn't understand that it was, fakery Majesty from
Yeah.
Blue Blazer, to the gum and the towel and everything, and how Perfect's, music was somewhat reminiscent of Flair's, because
Yep.
it was like the big brass overture, and it was like, oh, I'm in. And just from then on, so you could watch. So growing up in Coatesville, we had 3, 6, 10, 12, 17, 29, 57. And so you could watch Superstars at 11, Challenge at 12, and then you could flip over to 17 and get NWA.
Okay.
So I got that little piece of like, who are these other guys with these not so great cameras, and it was dark.
Yeah.
Because NWA, they just didn't have the production value that, Vince was. I didn't know they were filming in Allentown, for
And
God's
in Hamburg.
sake. And in Hamburg, yeah. I found that out a lot later
We
too.
got to do a podcast inside that building.
I saw that.
Oh.
That was like, 6 months to a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was this close to coming that day.
We should have.
I know.
It was a good day.
Well, we were talking earlier about. I feel like, I feel like a shill because I haven't made it to any indie shows.
I mean, the pandemic was
For a
scary.
while.
It's hard to get out around people. It's still nerve-wracking at times,
Yeah.
and sometimes wrestling fans aren't always the cleanest. Sorry.
We're family. We understand. Yeah,
It's like Stone Cold said, you get this bar of soap and you put it on your son bitch armpits.
How great was that promo he cut 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that sucks. He's gonna walk out and stunner him and leave, but it's better than nothing.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? Rock versus Eric Redbeard.
Yeah.
Boom. Done.
Yep.
Smile.
See
I'm
you
out.
later.
Yeah.
Collect my check. Yeah. Hamburg was a good time. Had my first freak out moment when Jimmy Hart came up and talked to me as if he knew me for 10 years, and I was like,
Oh my God.
that's strange. And then I met him 3 more times after that, and he's been super cool the whole time.
That's
Hanging out with
awesome.
Earl Hebner, just meeting all these old school guys. It's been a crazy journey, man, and it would have never happened with this podcast. So it's cool that you have found the network via my work in wrestling, which means a lot, because I always ask when I get like a person I never met before, because this is the first time we've ever, like, behind the scenes, this is the first time we're meeting and talking. Yeah.
Right.
But it's cool. I appreciate that, and it's really. Yeah, you should definitely come out to more shows. There's a lot of good ones coming up soon. PPW, there's going to be one in Scranton at the mall. Well, the marketplace. I don't think you're allowed to say mall anymore. I think they boycotted it or something.
Well, and I keep seeing that, like, because Jimmy Conway, South Philly's finest.
Yeah. Good dude.
Really good dude. And, you know, seeing him push, and he's just getting back into shows, and I think he's got one coming up next week in, like, Jersey. And
yeah.
Like,
he's all over the place.
He is. Him and
Luca.
Yeah.
Luca works his ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't meet him. I met Jimmy organically.
Yeah.
At a pet shelter, which was just really cool. And we were talking about doing an event, and then the world shut down.
Yep.
So there's that. But so, not to like flip the table, but like, how did you get into? I mean, how did you get behind the curtain with
wrestling?
With wrestling, like I heard a snippet from the last podcast.
Yeah, so I started doing the tornado. So when I started the interviews with Everyday People, I bought the equipment, I did everything I had. I got really pushed heavily by my wife and Nikolai, like, just do it, like, you're gonna be good at it, go for it. And they talked me into it, I pushed it, and I worked really hard. I did all the research, got all the stuff I needed, doing the podcast for a while, and I was like, well, I have all this equipment. I would love to incorporate my friends, because I really want to keep this network when we talk. The IwEP network stands for Interviews with Everyday People, but I want to keep that Everyday People moniker throughout it. So we're everyday people talking about pop culture, everyday people talking about pro wrestling, everyday people talking about this, and I like that aspect where we're kind of just everyday Joes. We're not saying we're experts. We're not saying we're the top, the echelon. We're like, you could definitely listen to other podcasts and get real information or more accurate information. But if you want to hear it as if you're talking in a bar or talking to your buddies, that's what we want to kind of replicate.
Yeah.
And
I listen to podcasts for story time.
Yeah.
Like Snap Judgment's one of my favorite, where it's just like, it's a story, it's a human experience. And it's like, oh, okay, that was something. Digest, keep moving. We
started the Tornado Tag one, and I had a local wrestler join it, Andy Header. You know, after 4 years, we became really good friends. And we just started, and I never really used his name or his anything, or had him go to shows and be like, yo, bring our podcast in. I actually told him not to do that for a long time. Like, if we're gonna get invited, let's be invited because of our work, not because you're the guy bringing this in. Yeah. So we just said one day we're going to go to a show. So we went to PPW, and they're like, "You guys can't record here." We're like, "No, we're not coming to record. We're just coming to support." And we started doing what these things called car ride homes, where we would get in the car, we would throw 2 microphones on, we would drive home, bring this recorder, hit record, drive home, and record an audio podcast and review the show. And they're like, and people loved it. And it was no video, it was just audio only. And people really liked it. So we kept doing more of those. And then I ended up started doing like backstage interviews at PPW. And I wasn't very good at them because I'm not really a character. And I always said to myself, and this is even before the Pat McAfee thing exploded, like if I was ever gonna be in the wrestling business, or I was ever gonna get hired to do something, I wasn't gonna play a character. I wasn't gonna be a heel. I wasn't gonna be a face. I was gonna be me.
Gotcha.
Because I'm building my brand. Like, so if you're hiring me because I'm the podcaster Tony. So when I'm on commentary, I'm me. You listen to me here, I'm gonna be the same on commentary. So if I like a face in the ring, I'm gonna like him. If I like a heel in the ring, I'm gonna like him. Yeah, I don't really follow that structure. And I know for a lot of time people had a hard time, like, that's not gonna work, that's not what we do here.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna be funny, I'm gonna be entertaining, I'm gonna crack jokes. And they're like, no one does that. And then Pat McAfee came along. And he kind of, not stole the blueprint I want to do, but it's exactly what the style I wanted to do. He's unapologetically him, and I love that. He doesn't fit a moniker. Like, if there's a heel in there and he thinks Roman Reigns is the top dog, like, he goes for it. He says that, you know what I mean? So I kind of always like that. But that's how it kind of happened. I got offered a ring announcing job, and I was like, no, I can't do that. Can't do it. And they're like, all right. And then they said, well, do you want to do commentary? So I had 2 people pushing for me to do this in 2 different companies and didn't even know that each other were doing it. So when Scott Fineout left PPW because he just couldn't do it anymore, he pushed for my name to jump into PPW. And then Johnny Moran was pushing my name to do the Sanctuary in Hazleton, which is another awesome venue. And they're like, just do it. And I was like, I'm not. I told them like,
Jump.
I can't be a character. Like I every now and then at the sanctuary, I'll play around a little bit because they have shows that aren't like there's canon shows and there's shows that are non-canon.
Right.
So sometimes I'll like try to do a little heel up stuff there because like it's good. It's a great place to get reps and practice your craft.
Yeah.
But so I got put in both those companies, and then it led from doing that to helping out at Outbreak Wrestling. And I mean, I only really do 3 companies, but I'm very thankful for it, and I have a blast doing it. It's a good time.
I got a taste of it again before the world shut down. Chikara was doing a whole bunch of
R.I.P.
training. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were doing.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Paper towels. Oh well. It's all right.
Sorry, Nikolai.
And
That's why it's normal form.
Yeah.
squirrel. So they had not only were they doing like ring teaching, but then they would do referee classes.
Yep.
And they finally did one for commentary / ring announcer. I signed up, and then it went away. And like clicking on the website, like what happened?
The whole place disappeared.
Yeah. But so former life, I used to work for another alcohol called Colony Meadery.
Okay.
Mead, alcohol made from honey. Oldest alcohol in the world. And we were friends with the guys that were the colony, the ants.
Yeah.
So
One of those turned out to do something pretty cool.
very cool, yes. Yeah, and I got to shake his hand, and I didn't even know it back at the time. But I also got to meet Bryce Remsburg because he was doing
Bryce.
all sorts of shit behind the scenes. So like, people are like, "What did you do today?" You're like, "Oh, I was emailing with Bryce Remsburg." You know.
He made a really good beer recently too.
He-
He made a beer with Pilguru.
for real?
Yeah, he made an apple. He made an apple wheat beer, and he had wrestling trivia at their bar, and we won.
God, I would have to go to that.
It was such a good time. He was super nice.
But yeah, seeing him and seeing him succeed through AEW, like
So
after,
Andy on the podcast was Chikara trained.
yeah.
Yep, he trained through Chikara with Claudio.
Oh, all right. Where's he gonna pop up?
I
Think
hope
he'll take some
AEW.
time off?
I think he'll take a little bit of time, but I'm sure he'll be AEW because that Ring of Honor coming back. I think that's a good outlet for some people.
That is really. I mean, because now you have like the backstory. Like
Yep.
all these guys. Like I mean, Ring of Honor. My God, how much good talent came out of that? You know, just watch the opening of the show, and you can see it all, dude. And then Punk coming out in his old shit. That. Oh man.
Now we have Regal, Moxley, and Daniel Bryan as a team,
Dude,
which has
how-
ROH all over it.
Oh my God. When he separated those two in the ring, and then, well, you can go back for a second, dude, MJF and him and Punk, and like just referencing the old, Punk's old speech, like, this is the stuff you dream of.
Yeah.
Like, because we all think about this, and you think about the old character the character that the guy in the ring played before he's playing this character now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until mid-2000, until like guys like The Rock or Stone Cold got on the mic that they were allowed to even like hint, like throw little things so that all of us at home were like, "Oh my God, he said it,"
Yeah.
you know? And
When The Rock told Jericho, "You're coming from a place taking losses to a guy named Hooventoot." I was like, "Oh shit."
one of Rock's, yeah, when he was the heel, one of the heel runs, the all you mother Canuckers.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite lines of his. But
Yeah, I would say if you really want to give it a shot and get in there, the best place is to come hang out at a Sanctuary show.
Okay.
And they're very open to giving people opportunities, but you have to go there and kind of like show that support and show them that you're interested. And,
Right.
and he'll be like, yeah, go up and do a match or two. And then you can jump in with either me or Pete, who used to be Glad Bad, who worked with 2.0. 2.0 used to be the Blad brothers. It used to be them two and this guy I do commentary with.
okay.
And it used to be AJ Evers was part of their stable too. That was like Chikara, outside Chikara thing, I believe. But yeah, I do commentary. He's taught me tremendously. He's really, really good.
then a bunch
and then
of
Paul
shows-
Bowen stuff helped me out a lot, and EJ.
And then a bunch of shows we got to see was the T-shirt guys down in Allentown would do a Let's Hang Out.
Yeah.
And it would be like just a whole bunch of Chikara guys that weren't being used on whatever show, and some big dude named Puff, and like it was really cool because it was just like that.
Are you going to the Weyerbacher show?
Was the show Weyerbacher coming
Yeah.
out? Oh my! Well, then,
And you know who's it's going to be his last match ever.
then yes.
You know who it's going to be?
No.
Avery Good, his very good professional wrestler. He used to be creator wrestler where they would change his character every time in Chikara.
Oh my
And then he became a very good
goodness.
professional wrestler, and now he's just Avery Good. His last match ever is going to be at Weyerbacher. He'll be there. Willow Nightingale will be there. I believe Puff will be there. It's like a huge wrestling show at Weyerbacher.
Nice. Oh, I'm in. I don't even know when it is, but
Yeah. But yeah, I actually, that was another company I got really entangled with. Alex, who I met through PPW, was part of a company that he's no longer with, Podcast Network. And then he started his own thing, High Tension, and I helped them out a lot with production and stuff. So I went to, it was called Camp Leapfrog, which was kind of like Chikara 2.0. When Chikara shut down, a lot of the talent started their new thing, and it was called Camp Leapfrog. When I say Chikara 2.0, it wasn't Chikara 2.0, but a lot of people gave it that because most of that roster was there. But it was something all on its own. But it had a lot of influences from Chikara. But
like the family-friendly shows and
family, yes and no.
Okay, I haven't seen.
There was some adult content, there, but being wacky and letting wacky characters or like. Not like stuff like Orange Cassidy would have been perfect there. You know what I mean? Like there was wacky stuff, but it was a lot of fun.
All right.
So I went there and I just brought equipment to help film, and then they're like, "Do you want to jump on commentary?" So I did commentary for a show, and then they're like, "Well, we kind of want to dial because it used to just be like everyone rotated commentary at Leapfrog, and they're like, we kind of think if we had like a set people, we can push story more." So they put me and a guy named. Oh shit! What's his? I don't want his working name. I don't want to throw his real name out there. It's been so long since I've seen him. But it would be me and two guys would do it, and then my podcast partner Brian would jump in there too. But we became like the voices of Camp Leapfrog. So I did that for a while, and then now when High Tension has their own company that's going to start up, I'm going to be one of the commentators for that company as well.
Nice.
And another company that's starting in Nanacoke wants me to be their commentary guy. So I have a couple gigs going out. So
Nice.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, got to keep the irons in the fire.
Yeah, and just see how it goes. But it's the cool thing is when you work all these different places. If I only worked one company, I would get like 6 shows in a year, and you can't get better doing 6 shows a year. So
And that was your thing with talking to the racer.
Yep.
Like you only get 6 races.
it's hard to build those reps.
Yeah. I do have to. I wrote it on my hand so I would remember. Riding a big wheel down the stairs.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest things I have ever heard.
I actually
'Cause
did that as a kid.
I did too. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. That was, and not, I don't know anything about racing, but that was a really cool pod to listen to. So thumbs up to that dude.
Yeah, Mike's a good dude. He's gonna get me in a car one day, I think, and race around.
More than one lap.
Shit my pants.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna do probably 1 lap, and I'll be like his dad. I'll just drink at that bar. Well, speaking of beer, how did you get involved with Funks?
Got involved with funk about, what is this, March? So six or so months ago. So I live in Emmaus. Emmaus, much like a lot of us around here, small towns. Small town with a drinking passion. It's not a problem at all.
It's a hobby.
Yes, which we have a lot of professionals. But funk opened up about 8 years ago. We moved to town. My wife is from Emmaus. I was in the Carolinas, and we decided to move back up here. So we were here, and it was just like, oh, cool, it's a little craft down the street. Coming from Raleigh, which was like craft beer explosion.
Really?
Like, oh my goodness, like the center of it, I would think. I mean, you look at a map of Raleigh, and there's 440 is the belt line that goes around it, and there was arguably 14 to 15 breweries inside the belt line by the time we left.
Wow.
And that was
I think
8
there's
years
a
ago
brewery
now.
from North Carolina that made the Crowbot beer. Well, my buddy's band was out in North Carolina making their album. I think there was a brewery that made a beer for them one time.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. I've had their beers in the show. Once again, too many podcasts. Too many beer companies. Hard to remember everybody.
So I'd known those guys for a while, and like I said, I'd sold alcohol before. Then the world shut down, so I went and hid in a grocery store for 2 years, and I was having a beer at Funk, and the guy turns out to be my boss down the road, Andrew, kind of looks at me. He's like, "What are you doing now?" And I was like, "Working in a grocery store, doing trivia at nights. We should talk." Okay. So we talked, and then I talked with the owner, and after a couple excruciating interviews, he was like, "Yeah, come on." So I am the outside sales rep, which means I have a collection of what we call the Philly Five. So Montgomery, Bucks, Chester, Delco, Philly. Any tap and shelf that beer can be sold on, I have an opportunity to get our brand on there.
Cool.
Can be a little overwhelming because it's a lot of area.
And there's a lot of competition in Pennsylvania.
It is a lot of competition.
647 breweries or something like that are in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, give or take 100, depending on
what day of the week it is.
What day of the week it is.
Because
yeah.
there's new ones popping up every day.
There is. I mean, it's kind of funny because I really thought during the pandemic there would be a level of attrition on some of these breweries. But being the breweries are so, like most of the breweries are small enough and so nimble and being able to, zig and zag, they were able to figure it out, which is really hats off to, small business in general, because we lost so many good restaurants and bars and other services and really cool niche things. But a lot of the breweries were able to kind of solidify. Funk in specifically, we stopped kegging everything. I say we, I wasn't a part of it by that point, but they stopped
waved the flag,
kegging.
no?
And what?
I said you waved the flag. You can say we.
They stopped kegging, canned everything, and then had, shortened hours. And Emmaus, because it's awesome, they, showed up and bought beer.
Trying to see, while you're talking, I'm just pulling up my on tap to see how many funks I've actually checked in. It's got to be a lot.
And so we were able to pivot on that and just keep making really good beer. Scott, our brewer, is awesome. He makes just phenomenal beer. You're drinking the Peach Bikes,
this is fantastic.
Which hits shelves this week.
Oh, so I have early access.
You do, yeah. Look
at that. That's perks right there.
You know people. Not me, but somebody who gets you a beer. And we got some other cool ones coming, like the next two coming out. One called Lil Citrus, which is like this guy. So Citrus is our #1 stunner, and that is 6%. So we're doing a Lil Citrus, which is like 4.2.
Like a all-day crushable.
Exactly, crushable session, if you will. And then we have another one coming out called Funkadelphia, which is this awesome Philadelphia basketball team style colors and whatnot. 5.7% Southeastern IPA. It's gonna be so good. Scott's just so good at what he does.
Who's the guy that was on social media dressed as Stone Cold smashing beers?
That's our owner. That's Norm.
Oh, I love him to death.
Yeah,
he made that video. I was like,
take.
I need to talk to him one day.
Yeah, yeah, and we released Royal Rumble that weekend.
Yeah.
Baltic Porter, really nice. Actually do another one called Rumble, because this is an Imperial Porter, so we do another one called Rumble, is lower ABV. And it was funny, because as soon as I saw the Stone Cold promo, I texted him and Andrew, and I was like, how do we capitalize on this? And they're like, it's like 2 weeks away. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So, but Norm's like,
his
I don't
lager
believe
should
it.
be coming out soon.
Right.
He went from the IPA to a
Broken
lager.
Skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember having one of those back when they served beer in bottles.
Yeah.
I remember meeting a guy and trading him for it.
That's the only way you can get it for a while was only bottle.
Yeah, because this was like
Then they canned
probably
it.
three.
A little too expensive, I think, but.
Yeah, I wanted the bottle.
Yeah,
you
same
know,
here.
because I didn't know what they were going to do. But yeah, so I'm out on the road doing events. Get to do fun stuff like this to promote the brand. We do tap takeovers at restaurants and bars and other different events. I'm usually doing a sampling somewhere on a Friday afternoon at some beer store in one of the 5 counties. Just, because 5 o'clock, people are coming out to get their beer for the weekend. And
Yep.
like, hey,
We have this.
yeah, we have this. Would you like to try it? would you like to buy some? You know, so it's mostly fun. It can be, I mean, it's a grind a little bit because you're out there just, you know, shucking and jiving and talking and hustling all day. I mean, just today I hit 14 different distributors, and I had to be done a little early because I had something to do. My wife and I had something to do, so and it's important to keep her on the schedule.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's a whole other conversation. But
you're preaching to the choir.
yeah, it's yeah, drink to that. It's
So yeah, I just pulled it up. I have 50. Now this is just checked in. I took a huge chunk off of on tap for a while, but the last one I had checked in, besides before I do this one, is going to be the Lucid Realms, the Sabro and Galaxy version.
okay.
Prop. I believe the Lucid Realms was during the pandemic too. I drove up during the pandemic.
Yeah, we did the Lucent Realms, and then we had a coffee Lucent Realms as well.
Yeah. Prop, triple citrus.
Yep.
Brown bag lunch.
The barley wine.
Yeah. Just said brown bag lunch rationale.
Right. There was a couple different versions of that.
Crangeline. It was like the squishies or whatever they called it. Silent Disco, which is this
There you
one. Citrus IPA. Double Citrus Imperial.
There you go.
Lucid Realms just regular. Citrus IPA again. Stunt Double. Double Disco.
Yep.
Perfect Strangers. And the RD IPA. I gave that. I think I gave that a 4.5. I really like that one.
Yeah,
Most of them are all around the 4 mark. Our whole thing is always protect the 4. Protect the 4. So we always do like 3.75, 3.5 because we want to protect that 4. But there's a lot of 4.25s on this.
Nice.
Lucid Realms Galaxy was a 4.5 too.
When I check them in, I usually don't rate, just because I've been on this side.
Yeah, I've been told by different like industry people that it's probably not smart for our podcast to do that. But I want to be transparent. Yeah.
Right, as you were saying.
Yeah.
You're not a character. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Yeah, and I really like being there. It's a good time. I mean, you get to travel around. You know, sales is sales. Whether you're selling shoes or selling services or whatnot. So there's always those walls, those opportunities, if you will, that you got to use your brain to get around, or personality, or
It does help if you're passionate about your product you're selling too. Like if you're working for a company, like there's been jobs I have where I work for a company, like I'm gonna be honest, I'm there for the check, because you're not passionate about your job. But like if I had something like a funk's job or working for a brewer, like I would know the product. You're a craft beer guy. You know what you're selling. You're like, someone's like, well, I only drink Miller Lite or like domestic beer. She's like, oh, well, you should try this Pilsner we make, or this lager,
right,
or an IBA, an IPA with a lower ABV, so it's not as hoppy. And then maybe whenever people most think I hate IPAs, they've only had West Coast. They never had like a hazy where it's more creamy and oaty,
Yep. Yeah. And people are like, oh, I don't like beer. It's like, well, I try to kindly correct them and just be like, well, you just haven't found the beer style you like yet.
I've been doing podcasting now, beer podcasting, for 4 years. And it just took me probably until 2 weeks ago to turn the corner on dark beers. For 4 years,
Really?
every dark beer I ever drank tasted like coffee. And I hate the taste of coffee. And I would never get chocolate notes. I would never get anything. And we actually did a Guinness episode. And I had Guinness, which I didn't like. I thought it was watered down coffee. I had Guinness double or extra drought, which tasted like a chocolate porter. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I would dump every Guinness out and just only make extra stout or drought because it's way better. And then I had the Imperial Guinness where it was like barrel aged. That was fantastic. And then we just had a bunch of beers from Estonia, called like Polzera, whatever they're called. They were all like stouts and porters, and they were all unbelievable. So like I'm turning the corner on darker beers now.
To go for if somebody said to me like I want to learn more about dark beers, or like I'm trying them, go to the Germans and the English and like the people who have been making it for 300 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some. Don't get me wrong. There is some really great beers that are made in America.
I mean, we're spoiled to have as many good breweries we have in Pennsylvania as we do.
We are.
It's hard to pick a favorite because there's so much talent, like so many talented brewers in our area.
Talented brewers, great spots. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a couple breweries that I can think of where like, that their beer is fine, but then where you're sitting is just like, oh, I want to be here. I enjoy sitting in this spot, and either it's outdoors or it's just a really cool, feel, and they have this set up, they have that set up, and it's just like, okay, this is really cool. Because people drink when they like what they drink, especially when they're having a good time. Like the beer store I used to work in when I was in Raleigh, and people would come in and be like, oh, do you have Turk's Head beer? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh man, I had that when I was on vacation 2 weeks ago. That was the best beer ever. And I was like, well, I can get it for you. And they're like, yeah, let me get 2 cases. Go through the thing, get them done, call the guy, bring it in. You sure you want that? It's special order. Oh, okay. Bring it in, get it to the guy, stoked. Comes back a week later, he's like, it's all right. Well,
That beer you sold me was skunked, he probably said.
Well, no, he's like, it's all right. He's like, I'm like, yeah, dog, you had your toes in the sand.
Yeah.
You weren't working.
You were an environment.
You're chilling. You drink motor oil and think it was great because you had your toes in, because whatever environment you were in, whatever beer you were drinking in that, basement house party with your closest friends when you may or may not have been of legal drinking age.
That's why dirt beer, I call them dirt beers, but they're domestic. Like Keystone's Milwaukee's best, like Old English, like
Keystone.
Yeah, they're awesome when you're just like on a budget and you're 21 years old and you're hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah, I mean, Natty Light, those kind of ones where it's just, before the term lawnmower beer was a thing, like when I was in high school, my dad would buy a case of Hams.
Yes.
And it would last him all summer.
Yeah.
Like, you get a 30 rack, you got a couple friends over, like...
That's gone.
Yo.
Like, we need another 30 rack.
Go to the store. Or go out, Yeah, I've been involved in the industry for, a long time. I've either been in craft or hospitality or sales my entire life.
Yeah.
Front of the house. End up in the back of the house sometimes, like in the restaurant where, the cook had a problem and, didn't show up. And then he was like, hey, Dave, you want to work on grill? Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Whatever gets your check there.
Yeah, whatever gets it going. And, and those were great experiences. But I've always been in the front of the house and being out there. And 95% of the time, I really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting my feet wet with these guys and, learning the culture and learning even more about the beer.
And they have 2 locations, right? Emmaus and
Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elizabethtown is really cool. I don't know if that's actually closer to where we are kind of right now, but full restaurant. We don't brew anything up there, but full restaurant, big bar, a nice town. And then
I never got to sit and have a beer at Funk's because every time I go, it's usually on release days. So like where you would normally sit at the bar is just covered in pallets, and that's everyone just.
So that's a great segue.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago.
And it was during a pandemic as well.
Fair enough. So 2 weeks ago, we opened up a new tasting room in Emmaus. So we moved an entire half a block over to off of Railroad Street.
Okay.
So there's so where we were, and we still are on 6th Street, was the brewery and brew
It was a
pub.
Firehouse at one time, wasn't
Correct.
it?
Yeah. Big bay doors on both sides. And there was a Turkey Hill there, and the Turkey Hill was
And a pizza shop.
Joe's Pizza 2 is right out front. The Turkey Hill has now been raised, and they're going to make it 3 times the size because now they have to compete with the Wawa down the street.
Can't compete. You're going to lose that battle.
They're going to do their damnedest. I'll tell you though, Dave, there's enough people in Emmaus that stop at Turkey Hill and get their coffee and their cigarettes and their newspaper. Yeah, I said newspaper. That want that there, that will keep that store in business.
Yeah.
And there's
Wow,
no other
so
gas
good.
stations in town either until you go to the other end of town or whatnot. And it's going to have like an MTO and all the bells and whistles. Anywho, so we're keeping that to make beer. Half a block up is a building that houses Triple Sun Distillery. excellent distillery. Best rum in the state, possibly East Coast. Bourbon is awesome. I can't say enough good things
We
about
just started
that.
adding bourbon and liquors to our Bang and Beers podcast table. So we do like small little tasters, and we try to find. Bob has a huge collection. He does have like stuff from PA.
Yeah.
But we're always looking now to add that to the.
I'll get you his number easy.
Yeah.
Y'all come on down to Emmaus and do a twofer.
Yeah.
Because so now we're in the same building. It's them. So there was another brewery there, Yergi.
Okay.
Yergi Brewing. They're a nano brewery, so they don't distribute at all. They're really cool. They moved up on Main Street, and he bought an old bank. So they have all their brewing equipment in the back, and and they doubled their tasting room size too. And there's outdoors, and they bring food trucks, and it's really cool. But when they were in the building with Triple Sun, they had tanks on this side and storage on this side and whatnot. So there wasn't a lot of space to sit.
Mm-hmm.
So now they moved out, so now there's not all that stuff there. So we moved in there, and picnic tables outside, and it's huge
exciting.
screen. It's really cool.
Sounds like
so,
a good place to watch some wrestling pay-per-views.
That would be fun. Yeah, Norm. We
And
can,
I know a wrestling podcast so you can collaborate with.
Oh my goodness, that would be so cool. So we're real excited about that. Triple Sun being the neighbors, so you can come down if you're not a beer drinker. You can get a craft cocktail, you can get a glass of wine, you can get a slushie, whatever your liquid drug of choice is.
Nikolai just his ears perked up over
I
there.
heard slushies. I was like,
Oh yeah, they got the slushies. They do right now. Sandy's got a peach whiskey slushie and a hard sweet tea slushie.
Cool.
Yeah.
So besides Funks, and I'm not saying this to put anyone else down or anything, but I always like when collaborations or people like other things and give other places their due. What are some other breweries in the area that you enjoy or you kind of seek out?
Bond Place in Bethlehem.
Okay.
Sam, just such a good dude and just makes really good beer.
Is that are they the ones that left? Who were the guys that were used to it with Liquid Noise and they moved from Liquid Noise somewhere else? That's not Bond Space.
That's not them.
No.
Mooey is their English style bitter. Desert Island beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least top 5. Hijinks, who I drank a lot of because I used to work for Colony Meadery, and they were our neighbors, so I drank an inordinate amount of theirs, and Kurt does really good stuff there. McCall's
Oh, I love McCall.
is doing some really good stuff.
We're trying to work out a possible podcast with them in the future.
Their beer names are great, and they have like
Hitting dingers and
the Music Line one-off.
yeah.
Yeah, like I had the one, it was Black Sabaroff.
And
So it
wasn't
was
there a Post Malone coffee?
There was, yeah.
Because he just tattooed "Always Tired" under his eyes, so there was a roast. It was called Roast Malone.
Roast Malone, that's
Yes,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
and they have a constant of that. Hop Hill. Greg does some really cool stuff over there.
Also in Allentown, I like Brew Daddy a lot.
Brew Daddy's is good too.
They had one of my favorite Oktoberfests.
Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a little bit.
I think honestly, when we did our Oktoberfest lineup, it was like who had the best Oktoberfest. I think the 2 top ones were, it was 3 was one in Tamaqua, Brew Daddy, and I think Funk's Oktoberfest was our top batch.
Marsden's are
I love those caramely
they're an
Marsdens.
interesting style because I think they get pinned in too much on a time period because you can drink those all year long, and they're not an IPA, so there's not a solid timetable
Yeah.
on them. So you can. People are like, oh, that came out 6 months ago. It's like, dude,
Who cares?
it's a Marzen. It's a lager. Like,
Yep.
get over it. Come on, man.
Snitz Creek has a really good Marzen. The Fort Indian Town Gap Lager. It's like a Marzen. I just had it the other day. We were at Snitz Creek. I'm obsessed with. I love cream ales too, and they have that blueberry cream ale, which is fantastic.
Okay.
I love we just tried their Imperial Blueberry Cream Ale, which is like 13%.
Oh my God.
And it drinks like a 2%. Like you're just like
I've been known to buy a case or two of Jenny every once in a while.
yeah.
That is some easy drinking beer. But yeah, there's so many good breweries. And I keep I don't want to leave anybody out, but it's like there's so many good breweries in the valley. We've got distilleries. We've got a couple distilleries, 2 Tree cideries. We said a meadery. It's such a cool place to just come and either day trip, if you have a DD, or get a B&B or Airbnb or any one of the hotels. I mean, staying down to Hotel Bethlehem. There's so many cool little spots, and the brewery's cool. But then there's even just like all the cool bars, which from what you were talking about, I understand there's some good stuff around here or up in Frackville. Which, all right, so to turn that, so my wife's family is from up there. So, of course, around the holidays, and me knowing nothing about this before I got there, as my brother-in-law pulls a, glass measuring cup out of the microwave, pours it into a shot glass and hands it to me, and he's like, here you go. And I'm like, what? And so...
it was a traditional apple pie.
No, it's Boilo.
Well, there's traditional, and the 2 big popular ones is traditional,
Okay.
and then an apple pie version.
This was definitely traditional.
Yeah, traditional is the more orangey, citrusy. The apple pie is like apple cinnamon.
I don't know about citrusy.
Yeah.
Apple,
Usually it comes with like there's usually orange peel and stuff in it.
Yeah, we went over, like he showed me a recipe and he's like, this is my grandmama's or like somebody's grandmama's recipe.
People get real serious over those recipes.
Yeah. So
surprised they showed it to you.
I want to make one. I want to try it because I'm just like, dude, like, what's your baseline? This is horrible. And he uses like 4 roses.
4 queens.
4 queens.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, come on.
Has to be 4 queens.
Does it though?
Yeah.
Like, does it?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like the Miz here. Like, really? Because I feel like we could elevate the product, the outcome, just a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know.
I get a tradition, tradition. Yeah. But like, it kills me though, because like, I can only drink so much of it.
Yeah.
And they just.
Dude, if you drink that all year round, you will not get sick. I'm convinced of it. You won't. Like, you won't get the flu.
Robitussin.
Yeah, it's like a cure-all. Little Brown Barrel in Minersville is a really cool spot we have in School County, which is like a craft beer bar.
name?
The Little Brown Barrel
In
Minersville.
Minersville.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they'll do casks. Like, breweries will come in with like a special cask, and they'll only do like certain ones for that place. And he does a great job like reaching out to different breweries and doing like special events there. So that's a place to do a cool tap takeover.
Okay.
So you heard it here first, Funks. Get the
Right
Little
on.
Brown Barrel. And
I
we
get
could
it.
collaborate and get you.
I get Andrew on that. That's
Yeah.
his.
Tell them because they pretty much got us in contact with Rusty Rail, because we did like Rusty Rail had an event where they did a cask and they called it they wanted to call it Skook Monster, but they couldn't get the name legalized or ready before it went out, so they just called it like the Boilo inspired Fog Monster.
goodness.
So they took their Fog Monster as a baseline and then kind of added and served it almost like a Boilo. And it was so good.
Goodness.
I called it Skook Monster. That's why I checked. It wasn't on Untappd, so it is now.
It is now,
Monster,
yeah. The open networking of Untappd.
Yep.
What do you want to call this beer? What should it be called?
Yeah. So we did that. It was really cool. But the Washington Hotel in Minersville and the Little Brown Barrel are literally right down the street from each other, and they're both very craft beer friendly, and they have tap takeovers. They're always looking for tap takeovers and showcasing beers.
Huh.
Black Diamond in Frackville, always looking for craft takeovers.
And that's a live music spot too?
It's tight. I do like an open mic there every so often.
Okay.
But yeah, there's that. Even if we like collaborate one time where like say someone does tap takeover and we can do like tap takeover and an open mic, we can try that too. It'd be fun. But yeah, Little Brown Barrel does have some live music sometimes. Like I said, like a lot of our spots in our towns are really, really tight. So it's hard to get like a full band, but like an acoustic guy can come in and jam out. But
they did that at Triple Sun. One guy up there, DJ, whatnot, same as the Merc and all that. They, 3 people shoved into a corner.
Yeah, and then Pilgaroo, especially you said about a good spot, man. 2 TVs, and both of them one usually has 90s WWE or Raw, and the other one has WCW.
Oh.
Yep. It's a great time.
When I was doing, when Colony opened the tasting room inside the Moravian Bookshop in Bethlehem, and we were all the way in the back, and it was shelf space, and it's funny because the owner was like, no, we can spend some money, we can do some things. But working in corporate restaurants for so long, I'm used to them being like, here's $5, make it nice. And so I was just like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? So I brought in my little, because they had music playing. So I couldn't play our own music because we're inside, Moravian bookstore. And before it became the different Moravians, different books, when the college bought it, it was kind of a gift shop. It had a big bookstore section with millions of titles and really cool stuff. But it's kind of knick-knack and little, it was an everything store.
Mm-hmm.
But, so I was like, okay, but I can plug in. So I brought in my little 13-inch TV VCR. And I was just like scooped up a bunch of tapes and was like, can't play that one, can't play that one, can't play that one. Because it had to be in public.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Like I come in one day and like the one kid, Max, bless his heart, awesome dude. He's playing Mallrats. And I'm like, no, we can't play that. And he's like, why? And I'm like, do you not remember the dressing room scene?
Yeah.
And it was like, because, some blue hair would be walking up at that point and then everything would just go to hell. So I was like, no. So I brought in old wrestling tapes and, just like old movies and whatnot, just anything I could put up there that was some sort of visually stimulating.
Yeah.
That if somebody walked by, they just maybe be like, huh. And then
like, oh,
look
Beetlejuice.
at the product.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what do you do here? So yeah, playing old tapes is so fun. I mean, I have the old Foot Lockers.
Yeah.
Full.
Yeah.
Full. Like probably nothing compared to you, but like full.
My movie collection is not as impressive as. I mean,
These are
it's not terrible.
This is just wrestling tapes.
Yeah. No, I don't really have
Yeah.
wrestling tapes.
No?
No. Once the network and stuff came, I just go with that.
Did you make the move to NBC?
Yeah. Yeah. The Peacock
Okay.
app. Yeah. Unfortunately, I lost a lot, but
Yeah.
hopefully that AEW streaming deal comes soon.
The only reason I held on to the network, honestly, was for the Edge and Christian show.
Yeah.
Like really, I was like,
Do
okay.
they even still do it anymore?
No. They ended that probably 3-4 years ago, and I was like, $10 a month. I could
It
go
sucks that
somewhere
the
else.
Broken Skulls, Stone Cold's podcast is only on there. Like you can't listen to the audio anymore. That kind of bumps me out.
Yeah.
Like even if you wait a month and then throw it on a podcast platform to listen to, because now all it's just they just redo old replays, which sucks.
Oh.
I like to listen to podcasts in my car. I don't always like to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I same kind of thing. I want to hear a story. I want to hear people talk and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to get the name to the face, so you go back and check it out. But I like the audio aspect.
Well, and then too, you got to know who they're talking to. Like, I listen to some of Jericho shows, but like when
Depends on the guest.
it depends on the guest.
Yeah.
Because like you're bringing back the lead guitarist to Danger, like, all right, it wasn't one of my bands growing up.
Cool. Tell me a
So-
story how you try to act like Motley Crue.
Right. Like, why was your spandex different
Yeah.
than CC's? Like,
We lit a hotel room on fire. Oh, cool. That's original.
right.
I get it.
As Jimmy Page looks over,
Yeah.
what?
Hold my beer.
Right. Oh my God. But yeah, that and I don't know how to segue. It's fun though. I mean, do that and then I do trivia on the side too, which is really fun. Do trivia.
Do you do certain types of trivia or just general?
So I'll do themes probably once or twice a month. Like last week, so 2 weeks ago, I did movie night. So it was all about the movies. And then last week I did trivia by the color. So every answer was a color of some sort.
Like Green Day or Purple Rain or...
Well, I used music. That's how I did so I usually do a name that tune round. And you get, points for the artist and points for the song. So yeah, I did and I totally overload. Usually you do 5 songs, but this week I did 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. And because
Trivia sounds like a great time until I have to score everybody. And then I wouldn't like it anymore.
yeah, scoring's not.
I quit.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why it's kind of fun being on this side of the desk, because we like to play. So if we're not you know, if like I wasn't doing something cool like this, then my wife and I would probably go to like Ringer's Roost on a Monday night, or there's Volpe's in Emmaus on Tuesday night, and a plethora of other places too.
Yeah.
Like everybody does. My buddy Jim does trivia at Two Rivers in Easton, and there's plenty of places to do trivia and go and enjoy. And I think that's what I really like is just come into a bar, hang out, put your phone down, put the world on pause.
Communicate with
just
your team.
Communicate with your
Yeah.
team. Just have fun. And whatever conversations come out of these off-the-wall questions that I'm going to give you, because you're like, why would I know that?
Or you yell at
Then-
your significant other because you thought they had the answer and they made you change it, and then it's an awkward car ride home.
That is the best. Somebody runs out. I hear after every round, I told you!
Yeah.
I told you!
Did you change my answer?
Yeah, right?
You could have fucking won.
It is fun like that. So I do trivia at the Weiss in Macungie on Wednesday nights.
Like a
which-
Weiss grocery store?
It is a Weiss grocery store, but so Weiss has taken the lead from Wegmans. So they have a big bar
What?
as soon as you walk in. Yeah. Now it's just beer and wine and seltzers, but $4 pints all day, every day.
Wow.
And Funk Citrus, $4 pints at Weiss Macungie. 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights. We've been doing really well. It's really fun. So they do like open mic night there too. So you get musicians rolling in. So it's been, and you know, and there's places to go in Macungie. There's definitely, I mean, the VFW and Mac Pub, and I'm sure I'm missing 2-3 others, but there's stuff to do. But to put it in a grocery store where it's just like overly accessible to everyone, and there's like this huge apartment complex right off the parking lot. So like I get like 2-3 teams from there. It's really fun. And then they do Thursday nights at Triple Sun, which is a little more intimate, just because of space right now, but that will change soon too, spacing wise. And it's funny, throw it up on the TV and, you put the questions up and pictures and all that. And it's a good time. And, just comes from a love of doing trivia or playing trivia for years.
I lost the opportunity to play all those fun games because I'm recording almost every night of the week. So it's
I
unfortunately
understand.
I lost all my ability to have fun. And then they usually don't do trivia on weekends. That's usually when music is there. So it's tough to get in. Usually trivia is like during the week stuff.
Right. Well, and that was another thing I kind of figured out early on, because in the beginning I was kind of I was really hungry just to get gigs. So I said yes to probably more than I should have. And then I got the first one. It was like, yeah, we want you to come up and do it on a Friday night. And I was like, if you need an event on Friday night to bring people in like that, then you probably have bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, trivia on a Friday is not where you want to be.
No, because you got all this other, like, music is there.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay attention or you can not. Or if the bar's big enough, you can go over here and have the conversation. You got some dude barking on a microphone.
Telling you to be quiet because you can't have a conversation.
Right. It's like, well, I want to talk about it. We're playing trivia. What are you doing?
Yeah, we can't hear the guy. Shut up. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, bar. I'm trying to have a fight.
Right,
I just
so-
worked all week. You don't tell me to
Yeah,
shut
you
up.
shut up. Yeah. You want to go? Like, what the hell? So that's a nice. It's fun. It's still fun.
Yeah,
When it ceases to be fun, then we'll
figure something
I'll
out.
have that conversation, with myself and my wife, and we'll go from there.
So what are you said your buddies do podcasts? What are their podcasts?
So my buddy Mr. Steve does a podcast called Might Be Brews.
Might Be Brews.
Might Be Brews. It's on the MBN network, which is like Might Be News podcast. That's how I started. Just like a pop culture kind of like, let's discuss the events of the week. And of course, like a lot of others, this started out of boredom from the pandemic. So they started that, and then the Might Be Brews came along, and then they did a Might Be Tunes.
Might Be Nudes.
Might be, I don't think they've gotten there yet.
You can have that
Might
one.
be, yeah, copyright that. Might be something else, and then they had a more female-oriented show, and then they had another one with like some guy.
So they run a big network.
Justin has a.
So is he involved with every show?
He produces every show.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought when I saw like all the ones you're doing, the wrestling and the ghosts and you know the everyday and the beers, and I was just like, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. This is really cool. And yeah, they do some really cool stuff. They'll hop around to different breweries. When I was at the Kennet Beer Fest 3 weeks ago now, they were kind of walking around doing just like, you know, quick 5-minute interviews with different breweries. And they have a good time doing it. I don't, you know.
That's what we gotta do. When we go to Brewfest, we should probably, we have the wireless mics now. We should probably have just, we need to get a camera. The problem was last year we had a cameraman. There was a cameraman who also wanted to drink, so it was just like he wanted to participate and not really. And I was like, I felt bad, you know. So we didn't use that opportunity.
Yeah, you can partake, but if you're there to capture something that you want to share.
We really weren't sure how we were going to do it yet either, so it wasn't really all on him. So it was a little bit of a mixture of both. But yeah, hopefully maybe we should do more Brewfest and do that. But our main goal is we'd love to sit down with more breweries and do like interviews. I know we do like a lineup, like, oh, these are like the Funks lineup, and we drink like 4 Funks beers, pick a beer of the night, and it's fun. But yeah, I don't know. Did you see what just Toppling and Goliath did for
I heard that. They sent you a bunch of cool stuff.
Never in a million years thought that would happen.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, that's some good beer. There's Pseudo Sue and Psycho Sue, Pseudo Sue.
Oh, there's so many. King Sue, Psycho Sue,
Galaxy. The Tyrannosaurus Rex.
T-Rex,
right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they do a lot of fun things. So is there anything we didn't cover that you want to get over? Or?
Oh, man. I don't think so. I mean, we talked about wrestling, talked about this, talked about trivia, talked about that. You know, it's the first time, so we won't go deep into family or anything.
Yeah.
We'll do that another day.
Awesome.
But, yeah, dude, no, I've enjoyed this. It's been awesome.
Well, I really look forward to having you on Bang and Beers, and maybe we can do something on location somewhere, have some fun. Maybe Funks, if you want to do a collaboration with a wrestling podcast and make a fun beer or a beer podcast, you let us know.
I will put that in the works.
I love getting funky. That's why every time I drink a Funks beer, I say, I'm getting funky tonight, boys.
That's awesome.
Did you guys ever make one? I know you're just new to it, but when Ben Askren was big in fighting, he was like dominating everything. He went by Funky, Ben Askren. He had he was a white dude. He had like a little fro, and then he got knocked out in like 6 seconds by Jorge Masvidal with a flying knee across the cage.
Ouch.
He was like undefeated in his federation, and UFC brought him in, and he was supposed to be like this giant killer, like the new Jordan St. Pierre. And he just got smoked. Like his first 4 fights in, they just beat the tar out of him. Because they're like, UFC's not Bellator. Like you could be the man in Bellator, but when you come here, you're not gonna be the man anymore. He's like, yes, I will. Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was upsetting, but yeah, man. Anything you want to plug or get out there, let people know to go check out besides everything we kind of talked about?
Yeah, just recap. I mean, drink Funk beer. We're available in most grocery stores, most beer distributors. If you have any questions about where to find us in your local neighborhood, you can just jump on the website, shoot us an email. You can shoot me an email, dave@funkbrewing.com. If you want to take a road trip and come down to the valley and play trivia with us, love to do that. I said Weiss Makunji on Wednesday nights at 7 and Thursday nights Triple Sun Distillery, or same building as Funk Brewing on Thursday nights at 7. And
do you have a time limit when that new tap room is going to be open for Funk?
It is.
Oh, it's open now?
It is now. Yeah,
okay,
open
cool.
2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Overall, and be nice to each other.
Absolutely.
It's a fucking tough world out there, man, and you don't know. Anytime you run into somebody, you don't know what they're carrying.
Or what they've been through.
Or what they've been through, or what they're about to do. And I think we could, teach buy the world a Coke or anything, but like, just give people the time of day.
Yep.
You run into somebody, hold the door for them, say hi, let the asshole in traffic. It's just, take a second, be better.
Yep.
Because we all can.
Yeah.
Obviously self-included.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my words of wisdom.
I love it. That's a great thing to go by. I do the same thing. Someone yells, beeps at me in traffic, I just wave.
Just wave.
Thank you, man. Cool, you're gonna get there 3 seconds faster than I do.
Yeah, I'll see you at the next light.
Yep. Just let stuff brush off your back, I guess. But loved having you, man. I cannot wait to have you maybe talk some wrestling with us one night, or have you come on Banging Beers. We'll have some beers.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome.
Dude,
thank you guys so much. Like I said, if you want to support, like, share, subscribe. We are trying to hit that 1,000 goal subscribers on YouTube for all the podcasts. So if you head over to Interviews with Everyday People on YouTube and you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see all of our other channels. Just hit subscribe on them. You're already there. Help us out. Some of them are getting really close because we just pretty much rebranded and started everything over. Everything used to be on one platform, and then we kind of started fresh with everything else, so social media, everything. Oh, wow. So some of them are just like in pretty low numbers because we just we went from one page to each one having their own. So if you're interested in the stuff we do in the network, the pop culture, the wrestling, the beers, the supernatural, paranormal, spooky conversations, or interviews with everyday people, we have something for everybody. And there's also shows on the network that are on the shows that are not ran by me. We have a comic book one called Pull Box Pals just joined. Hyreth in Other Words, if you want to talk spirituality stuff. Welcome Back is a buddy podcast. We have Stay Doomed, where they review TV shows that were canceled after a season or two, and they say if it should have stayed doomed or not, or if it should have kept going.
R.I.P. Firefly.
Yeah. They might have done a Firefly episode. And then we have We Like Wrestling podcast. We have 2 wrestling shows on the network. So just the IwEPnetwork.com. Head on over there and check us out and follow us on social media. Appreciate it, man. It's kind of cool you found us through the love of wrestling, and I appreciate the Macho Man Warrior shirt. But that'll do it with Interviews with Everyday People. We'll see you guys next time. Episode 124. I don't even know who episode 124 is, to be honest. I should probably maybe plug that real quick. Let's see who we got here. I'm booked, I know, till January, so that's a lot. Next week's going to be Jim Holbert, which is a wrestling referee. So that should be a fun one. Yes, we'll check him out on next episode. That should be over the internet, so that should be live on a Monday, and this one will probably drop Wednesday. Yeah, because things were crazy today. Yeah. But all right, see you guys next time. We're out of here.